So even in the most unenjoyable instance, a day player on something where people aren't kind, aren't giving you artistic freedom, I can still find the passion of why I still do this. Because it's the people, right? And then when I am given the reins to fully build a world for my character, I have to have the confidence to bring the words to light. And then when I see them put them into the script and build them into the sets, it feels kind of badass.
Filmmaker Magazine presents Back to One with Peter Rinaldi.
Jolene Purdy is an actor. She sat down with me on the Upper West Side of Manhattan to talk about the work.
Is there a typical way that you like to begin your preparation process when you get a new character? Is there a first step?
Yeah, it's funny. I'll look at when a self-tape is due for an audition, just speaking auditions. I'll look when it's due. And I will only open it a day or two before, because what I realized is I will read the material. I will figure out who I think the character is. I'll start memorizing mildly, but I like to keep the character in my head as I'm going about my day, because it just kind of puts me in that space. And it took me years to realize I did that. It wasn't until I was out somewhere and I was like running lines in my head that someone thought I was talking to them. And I realized, oh no, I'm just running lines. And they're like, for what? And I was like, oh, for this audition that's due in a day or two. And I go to the grocery store and I think that character's kind of in my head. Like, this is what I'm doing, but how would the character do it differently? And I'm not staging a play at Trader Joe's or anything, but I definitely keep that character with me in my world to see how they would go about their world. And then I memorize. I know a lot of people don't memorize. There's teleprompter things that people are doing on apps for self-tapes.
Oh, really?
Yeah, where they're reading it. You know, and if I get...
I did not know that.
Oh, yeah. It's like straight on the phone that you record on, if you're recording on an iPhone, which I do. And
that makes me sick
wonderful.
To my stomach.
I know, but
okay.
But the turnaround time that they were giving us was insane. Like, I would get 3 8-page auditions due within 48 hours. How do I develop 3 characters with 8 pages of memorized dialogue in 48 hours? Some of it just has to go, you have to work smarter, not harder, especially if you have a kid during a pandemic.
Oh, God,
you know?
You're right.
But learning the teleprompter and the ability to act without having the words is a whole different skill that I just decided I didn't want to develop.
Good for you.
So I love to memorize.
then how do you transition that skill over to what you need to, right? It seems like there's a chasm there, right?
Yeah.
You would need it.
Yeah.
But then you get an earpiece, right? Because that's a lot of people have earpieces.
I couldn't do that. I couldn't have someone in my head telling me how to say my lines. I'm a little bit too much of a control freak for that. No, I do. I love memorizing it. I love over preparing. I'm a character actor. And so I like building characters. So I usually send 3 takes of everything that I do for a self-tape. I will send what I think they want to see. I'll send a different version, an out-of-the-box version, and then I'll send a fuck it version where I just marry all of the things that I've tried along the way to get a fuller, more developed, organic, because I say fuck it, take. And that's funny. It's usually the one that we end up sending.
Yeah.
But over-prepare, memorize, have it. But that's also like, I love taking direction. My God, I love taking direction. Especially when a director can stump me and think of a way to do it that I hadn't thought of, because I will think of A, B, C, D, E, F, and because I want to be able to have fluidity to take direction. I trust my directors because they have the entire picture of it. I have a snippet. I'm seeing it through my character's lens, my lens, but the director ultimately sees the colors, the costumes, every character and how they intertwine from an objective view, not, my character's view. And I loved being able to go in and just play.
And it seems like when it's something like an audition like that, certain things you're just doing because somebody says that you may be right for it. some of them you feel like, oh, I really want this. And does that change how much how much backstory you create for the person based on if you actually have a passion index high for that role?
There is never a role that is right for me.
Interesting.
I am plus sized. I am multi-ethnic. I can cry. I can laugh and make other people laugh at things. I love improv. If I was waiting for something that was right for me, it's never going to come.
Right.
So the thing that I love the most is a character that is not me. And I get to bring a part of me that's going to make that character just a little bit different. So when I look at a character that's so wrong, like once I think I was in my 20s, I had an audition for a 60-year-old African-American dog-walking lesbian. And I was like, well, I have a dog. That's about as far as we go. And I was like, how am I going to make this mine? So that's how I approach characters because no one is me.
Yeah.
And it's exciting and scary sometimes. I love things that scare me and challenge me. I get a lot of anxiety, but it's like when you're put in the moment, the anxiety fades and you have no choice but to fly or fall. And I will always try to fly. But back to like what excites me, like this character on Bondsman. It was the first character that I went, I want this. I will fight for this. I get her. I get the tone. And I think it's so smart, the humor. And I don't know if everybody saw the humor. I generally do. Whenever I go into something, I feel like when things are hard, when life is hard, right, you can either like sink into it or you can laugh at it. And I'm the kind of person that's going to laugh at it. And so when I approach pieces as well, I always find the funny. I was just talking to someone about a procedural that I did, and I don't really do procedurals, I realized. And it's a serious like medical show, but they let me be funny when I was given the freedom to like fly and be funny. They allowed me to, and I will always pick that. But I think I just get really excited about building characters, and I've now built so many different kinds of like staple characters. I have names for them, so I'm slightly like schizophrenic because I have all these characters that I can pick up pretty quickly. But
and do you say like, oh, this is like Suzanne that I did 10 years ago?
I have one that's like my nod to Melissa McCarthy in Bridesmaids. So I'll flip into that pretty easily. I have the Jolene version, which is just a little bit bubbly and happy and everything is, but there's also, I'll mix it with like, everything is so happy until it's not. And that's the funny, my stamp of funny, I guess.
Yeah.
So when I read things, I see where I can interject those things that I know work, those tools that I have. So I don't approach anything with less care if I'm not excited, but there are things that I go, oh, that's my wheelhouse. So I know I don't have to like develop too far because I've done it.
Right. So were you always somebody that was ignited by a challenge and that enjoyed direction from directors? Or is this something that once you became secure in your craft, that
Am I secure in my craft? Is that where we are now? Okay, cool.
I shouldn't have assumed.
Great. No, I'm just kidding. I don't think any actor is secure in their craft.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
More secure.
Yeah.
than you were maybe after, working a while, getting a little bit of success, landing some roles. Then you became somebody that enjoyed challenges, or were you always like that?
Growing up doing this, like I started in musical theater in second grade in a cast of 200. In the back is an orphan in Annie. But in my head, I was the only person on stage and I was living. And I never got direction. I never got notice, anything. It never mattered. I still loved living in that world. I still, was that character that I developed on my own. So I think it's always been challenge for me to be noticed. I'm always overlooked. I'll show up on set sometimes and they'll tell me where like background holding is, or, you know, are you a PA? We need water from over here. And it's just, I don't really take offense to it. It takes a lot to offend me. But I think having a director, I've grown accustomed to everything being a challenge. And so it doesn't frustrate me. And I've grown accustomed to being overlooked. And so I always over prepare my own character in case a director, I'm not the fancy person that the director wants to deal with. I also take pride in every take that I do is different. So when an editor approaches it, when the director looks at it later, they can decide the color that they want for that moment. So I love direction because it means that someone's paying attention to me.
Yeah.
Because I feel like so many of the times, and I love it when a director trusts me and they feel like they don't have to come in because they know my process and they know that I'm going to deliver whatever they need. And they'll come tweak it. But yeah, I love, like on Bondsman, it was a real, and I think the industry is kind of leaning this way because I'm seeing it more and more collaborative with the actor. Like Eric Olson, our showrunner, we always did table reads as a cast, and he would, you know, divide it. So we're going to do these characters together in these scenes and not waste our time. It was so efficient. And he would sit with us and say, how does this feel? How does this sit with you? How does, you know, growing the character into this feel for you? Do you think what colors, you know, and he would allow us to ask questions, which as an actor, it's like you're a product to just deliver.
Yeah.
And that, it didn't feel like that at all on this. Freedom to make mistakes, to try again. This was a very, very special collaborative show. Even with the directors, when we were shooting the first 2 episodes, my character specifically, when I auditioned, it was something they never thought of, like that she's delivering like news about hell with a smile. But I found it funny. And I found it the true manipulation tactic of the devil, you know, to smile.
Yeah.
And to draw you in.
Yeah.
You know? It's smarter.
And so that excited them probably, right?
I think so.
Yes.
But then they wanted also to make sure that I was strong enough to go toe-to-toe with Kevin Bacon's character, Hub, who's this, you know, badass bounty hunter. And so I needed to show them their strength in that smile.
And we see this in episode 5. I think it's 5, your big episode. I mean, I don't want to, that sounds like a spoiler, but did I just spoil something? No.
We see strength in episode 5. We see strength in episode 1. We see strength. She's a strong lady and she knows it.
But I'm curious if you, because what we get to know a lot about you in that episode. Did you know that about her when you auditioned, or was it just one of the early episodes, or like episode 1 or something that they were having you read from?
Oh, they gave me a lot of pages to memorize and read for the audition, which I was happy about because it gave more of an ability to build a fully fleshed out character because they gave me a little bit of the backstory.
Yeah. So anytime you don't have to build, anytime it's there, that's going to be better for you, right? But it's just that when it's not there, that you have to build, and you're happy to build.
I love it.
Yeah, but if they got material to give you, that's great.
Yeah, and you can even, I will still build upon it, and I will take whatever they've given me and apply it to my life. Yeah. So that there is a groundedness in it. Like I have a child and my character has a child. And so when I speak about my child, I'm speaking about my child and that's the connection and that's the grounded portion of it. What was the question?
Well, I'm curious if you knew a lot about her, what's in the script later in the season when you auditioned, or did that have to change? And when you do have to change, when you get more information, how is that process done? Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Meaning when you build a big backstory for yourself for the audition, and then you start filming, but then you get all these pages later on that kind of have to change the backstory that you created, because here's what the writer says her backstory is. What is that process like to change that and to then inhabit the actual backstory the writer made?
Yeah, I love television because you have to continuously evolve your character. And so the backstory that you create in the beginning in episode 1 definitely looks different in episode 22,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And I love being malleable in that way. There are actors whose process is very, you know, they'll deliver the line so well the same way. And they're, you know, efficient and constant. I love to give colors and depth and variation, and it keeps me malleable to get to 22. Like even in these short 8 episodes of Bondsman, right? We see Midge come in strong, and towards the end of the season, it's just like life. You're thrown a curveball, and you have to figure a way out of it, and it's going to break you. And how do you break? Do you get sad? Do you fight back and get angry? How would my character break? And that to me is the most fun, to build a character and then destroy it.
Yeah.
Does that sound messed up?
No, that's very interesting.
So I'm malleable. I'm game for anything. If you let me play, I'll fly.
Yeah.
Sometimes you got to rein me in, you know? But when I'm given freedom, I can deliver some not great things too, but for the most part, you'll have something to edit with.
Well, that's what the whole point of their other jobs are, right? To rein you in. I mean, you have to be able to show something, and then director can do what's in the name, right? Direct you back to earth if possible, if necessary, right? I mean, this is part of the part of the job.
Yeah.
I want to go back to what you said before, because I think it's interesting. You go and you do all of these jobs, sometimes only one day on the set. You go in, people kind of don't notice you. You do your work, boom, they expect you to just give them results, boom, they got it, boom, bye. Here on Bondsman, it's playtime, and it's like, what do you think? They're igniting your instrument, if we want to get pretentious, and I love getting pretentious. That's what I am. I am a pretentious person. But obviously that has to be the igniting of your instrument is exciting. This is what an actor would want. But is there any other real tangible difference between those two experiences? Do you know what I mean? Because you were talking to me before we recorded about how you actually work well with kind of bad energy in a way, or you kind of feed off, you know? So I'm curious if like, even if you're not treated exactly like an artist, I'm assuming that doesn't mean that your artistry isn't being ignited by yourself, right? But can we map the differences here? You know what I mean? Like what happened on Bondsman that when they were saying, we want to know what you think, like, did this really change things for you, and you were able to give them things that you wouldn't have given them if they didn't engage you in the process?
That's funny. There's another movie, a Blumhouse project as well. It's called Unseen, that I worked on with one of my besties, who was my director, Yoko Okamura, and she and I collaborated a lot building that. And you know, I'm not used to people saying, what do you think? And it almost stumps me. And I have to, you know, put words together to explain and communicate what I'm thinking, because it is so much that lives in my head that it's hard to say, well, I think at this point she would turn this way. I guess I more operate almost like improv, right? Feel, react, and it just comes. It's a fluid kind of process. So when someone asks me to put words to it, it's actually more difficult for me, because I have it in my head, and then when a director gives me the thing they want, it's almost like a key that unlocks that room that I've already thought of. But it was nice to see how much they trusted me with this character, as opposed to on other shows where it's like, come in, deliver, and go. Like, again, I still love that character in my head, and that character is still a part of me
Yeah.
on those shows. But it is more a product.
Mm-hmm.
But I think also in life, right? Like, you can choose how things are going to go. And look, I can be the most pessimistic person. I can be sarcastic. I can be all of the like low level emotions, like depressed, all of those things. But I think at the end of the day, like, I always try to choose joy. And so even in a process that isn't as enjoyable, you find gratitude in what was, and take the wins, man, because there are not a lot of wins. So when I'm a product, at least the win is I got a paycheck.
Yeah.
And I know that I did good work. And I know that I was kind on set. So even in the most unenjoyable instance, a day player on something where people aren't kind, aren't giving you artistic freedom, I can still find the passion of why I still do this. Because it's the people, right? And then when I am given the reins to fully build a world for my character, I have to have the confidence to bring the words to light. And then when I see them put them into the script and build them into the sets, it feels kind of badass. You know?
Yeah.
But this is, like you said, this is the new like world that I'm stepping into with Unseen, where I was the lead of that movie, and now this, where I'm, driving story. I'm Kevin Bacon's boss.
Yeah.
I mean, he's really my boss. Let's not get that twisted.
Yeah.
But on the show,
Yeah.
Midge is Hub's boss.
Yeah. What are these people like to work with when you're working with them for more than one day? Do you know what I mean? Or more than 2 days, and you get to know them a little bit. People like Kevin Bacon. Is he also giving you space and generosity to bring out your character?
Kevin Bacon is the man. Like, we know this. Anybody knows this watching his work, right? For decades and decades. But working with him, he's just, first of all, he's like the coolest person I know. Just in his entity. He is generous and kind. And not just like here's some ice cream, which he did buy for all of us. It was a hot day, and he was like, I'm just going to get some ice cream. So everyone's, so generous.
That I would never forget that till the end of the time. I mean, that's all I want.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't need anything else.
Yeah. Hey, we're turning around. There's an ice cream truck. Everybody go get ice crean.
He's on I'll write him on my gravestone.
Yeah.
I mean, on my gravestone.
Yeah.
I'll write his name.
Absolutely. No, it's like, I remember the first day I was on set, and I'm like, oh, I'm working with Kevin Bacon. I got to go toe to toe with him. And I don't know if you saw the first 2 episodes. I have some fun expository dialogue.
Yes, you do.
I basically tell you what the show's going to be.
Yeah.
And
which we have to get to, because that can't be easy
to
do that.
It's fun. I love it. It's kind of my like calling, I think. But pages and pages and pages, and we shot like 1 and 2 the same day. And so I literally, it was like 6 pages of me just saying things. And I remember the first time I went up on a line, and he was across the garage in the scene, and he had a beer in his hand, and he's always just like, just kind of down and cool. And I'm like this like a Mary Kay selling kind of character. Yeah. And I messed up a line and immediately just went, fuck.
Yeah.
And like, just because it just came out, and it was way more aggressive than it needed to be.
Yeah.
But I'm hard on myself, right?
Yeah.
And he has his legs crossed on the desk with a fake beer in his hand, and he just lifted it up like a cheers to me. Like, hey, we've all done it.
Yeah.
Good job. You made it. You made it through. And just the humility to like meet me in that space with a simple lift of his fake beer allowed me to go check myself and get back in.
That's all it takes, right?
Yeah.
A little beautiful.
It was a hot day one time, and he saw me melting, and he like just looked over at me with a simple and was like, like, you guys can't see it clearly, but just like a raise of the eyebrow and nod of the head, saying, I see you, I got you, and made sure like, hey guys, it's hot. Can we figure out like the shot that we're doing? Just supporting, even though he is the lead of the show, he is a strong leader because he supports
Yeah.
the people that he's leading.
That's huge. Yeah. That's huge.
With humility,
Yeah.
and he's also, this is the thing I'm seeing. The actors that are coming up now aren't doing the work that I think older generations did. And I'm going to put myself in that.
Okay. What does that mean?
I'm an older generation. My first musical theater was in 92. So I think I have the foundations of the tenacity that it takes. This job isn't cool. This job is athletic. This job is mentally exhausting. And you have to show up. There is no, I'll phone in this one. Because on the camera, you see it in your eyes.
Yeah.
You have to be present. And you have to have the mental strength to be able to show up for 12 to 16 hours a day and go through the emotions and still come back the next day and do it again. And it takes training and just a rigorous preparation. And Kevin displays that, to do just 12 to 16 hour days of stunts and emotions. And through the show, he just goes on a roller coaster of a journey to hell and back, essentially. And you see it, and not a single take did he phone in. Even when it's not his coverage, he showed up to support.
That's huge.
And I've seen it a lot, right? With some of the amazing actors I've been lucky enough to work with, like Elizabeth Olsen, right? In WandaVision. When we are in the town and we're doing all these whip pans to all of the, fringe characters, myself and some of the other townspeople, we shot that scene for 3 days. She shot her stuff. But when it came time for us to shoot ours, she sat next to the Steadicam. She learned his choreography, and she had her face for our eyeline. We didn't have a dot on the camera. We had frickin' Wanda to react off of, and she was present for us.
And it always makes a difference, right?
It does. It does.
Rather than a tennis ball or whatever.
A tennis ball or just, a little hot pink dot. And sometimes you have to be able to...
So now list the names of the people who haven't done that. No, I'm kidding.
Well, let me tell you... No, I'm just kidding.
That list is long, though, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Is it getting longer? Or were you about to say that people are phoning it in more and more? Is that what you were just about to say? I don't want to get negative, but I'm just curious.
I think the actors that are working the most are the ones that aren't phoning it in.
Yeah.
I think the actors that are passionate about the craft are working the most. And they don't have the capacity to phone it in because they love what they do. I think, I'm going to say this, I think studios are getting very excited about numbers of social media people that are going to get likes and equal revenue. And that's great, right? Money runs the world.
Yeah.
But does that social media actor have the mental fortitude to go through a show? Do they have the experience and knowledge to know how to hit a mark? And when your co-star doesn't hit a mark, how to slightly lean so that you can save the shot. Do they have that? They do not. Do they understand the craft enough to know how important their off-camera acting is, to not be reading it from a paper because they still haven't memorized it? No. And it's not all social media people. There are social media stars that actually are actors, and that's their side hustle, and props to them. But I'm seeing less training, I guess, and understanding of it's the show as a whole. Yes, you have your part and it's very important, but it's the show as a whole, how you can support the other people, the humility, right? That it takes to put together a great show.
It wasn't until well into that exposition that you were delivering in that, I think it's the first episode, that I realized oh my God, this is exposition. Usually I know that, and I'm like, all right, I can't just fade off with someone. But is there some kind of secret that you do with that kind of stuff? Because there are some people that can do it well, But sometimes, and this is part of the reason why I can't watch any of these network cop shows or anything like that. I mean, it's just all that. And it's ridiculous. I mean, it's like, it's getting almost worse than like soap operas used to be when I was young. Mm-hmm. This inane language. But what's the secret there? Because you really did it. It doesn't seem like it's pages. Mm. It doesn't seem like it's this kind of text that is relaying information. What do you do?
Well, look, if I told you what I did, I might not have another job.
I thought you were going to say I'd have to kill you.
No, I can't tell the secret because that's what gets me my paycheck.
That's right.
No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. I came here to tell you the secrets. To my character, it's not expository.
That's right.
Right?
Right.
And I built this character, and she knows the whys of everything she does. And again, she has said these words time and time and time again. So even if I just roll my eyes as I say it, it adds a character choice to it, and it doesn't feel as expository because you're going through the mental process that she's showing you.
Right, just connecting it to something, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh God, here we go. And then it comes down to the writing as well, like the interjections that are within my 3-page monologue. And working opposite Beth Grant and Kevin Bacon, all I had to do was react to their sweet little faces, like Beth, like, my son's going to hell. And I'm like, yeah. And that lends, it lends to the funny.
Yeah.
She just doesn't give a shit. Like, this is her job.
Yeah.
Sign here or don't. I don't care.
Yeah.
But again, it's like, this is what's going to happen if you don't. And it's not expository to her.
Yeah.
And I think that's why I can make it work. But I look back at a lot of the jobs that I've done, and it's a lot of expository dialogue. So much so, I did Under the Dome, Stephen King's Under the Dome with CBS, maybe like a decade ago. And same thing, radio engineer. I suck at technology. I had to look up some of this stuff and like make it connect so that you don't see in my eyes that I have no idea what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
But by the end of that season, they were giving me all of the expository dialogue. That I, one day at the end, was like, I sound like Bill Nye the fucking Science Guy. And I have run out of ways to connect it because, like, I can talk about radio stuff because my character's like a radio person. And that makes sense. But now I'm talking about weather patterns. She is the smartest person in the world. So sometimes it's gotten to be a lot for me to try and connect to, but for the most part, I love challenges, and that's the challenge, is bringing the humanity to the exposition.
See, now the world knows that you like challenges. Now they're going to keep
giving you Bring it. No, I'm just kidding. I'm ready for some shallow waters.
Yes. How do you deal with, when you're on a show for more than one episode, dealing with the potential of different directors directing the same character, you as the same character, but different directors? So
the first TV show that I ever did, it was my first audition for a pilot in my life, and I booked it, and it got picked up. Do you know the odds of that?
Right.
0.00000. It just is incredible. And Jason Bateman was our director. It was a multi-camera sitcom. Jason Bateman directed. Abraham Higginbotham was our showrunner, writer. And I didn't know anything. And I was so lucky that Jason came in and helped me develop the character and make her stronger and not the butt of a fat joke by any means ever. And he came in, we did that. He showed me how to cheat to multi-camera in a very humble way. He said, whenever I say, I forget the code word, some word, whenever I say this, that's where you're supposed to be cheating to. That's the camera. So he would go stand by the camera that was mine and say it so that I could feel where I was cheating to. Because I come from theater.
And well, that's a whole other like extended thing of cheating to multi-cam, like and not just cheating to the camera. But it was, again, a challenge, and I loved it. And he was
kind in the way that he taught me how to do it. He could have chosen to not be and been valid. But when another director came in and gave me opposing kind of direction, I still remembered the character that I built with Jason, and I took it to the degree that I felt like it was authentic for that original character that I had built. And then I also had the showrunner come up and support me and say, look, you know this character better than any director that's going to come in. So you protect your character. And I've carried that with me since, gosh, that's 20 years ago. I've carried that with me with every character that I've had. You know, protect the humor of that character, protect the authenticity of that character, because that's where...
Does that mean that there's any time you have to fight for her?
Yes.
That's a nod.
I don't know. I was like, look, I'm used to being on TV and having facial expressions. You guys should see what my face looks like right now.
Yes.
Yeah. I have had to...
How do you navigate that? Because, you know, do you have to weigh, like, is this is this hill worth dying on here? You know what I mean? Or do you not even think like that?
For me, because I love flexibility and being malleable, I will think of a way that it works for the character to get what the director, because again, I have to trust the director has the vision. I will change the neural pathways of the character development that I've done in my head to make that note work.
Yeah.
But if I can't, I know something is amiss.
Yeah.
Either in my thinking or their thinking.
Yeah.
But it's going to read inauthentic, and it's my face on the screen at the end of the day.
Right.
And so if I have that thought...
So you have to speak up.
I have to, because it's going to be phoned in. And sometimes they'll say, well, can you just do it? And I'll say, it doesn't feel good, but can I do it? Yes. Is that what you would like me to do? And it's not, and I think that's how actors get like this diva reputation, or, and let me tell you, it's maybe been twice that I've said that in 25 years. So, but I give them that, that option. I will. It doesn't feel good.
Yeah.
And I'm just letting you know.
Yeah.
But I will do my job. You're asking me to do my job? I will do my job. I'm just going to tell you how it feels.
Right.
And that's, emotional IQ and therapy working through.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm not a fighter in that. And so when I do, it's worth it.
Has there ever been a time when you looked back on that and been like, oh, that isn't as bad as I thought it would be? Meaning that moment where you had to do it. The right thing for them to have done is just sit down and be like, okay, let's see what's wrong here. Get it right. Then you'd be able to give it everything. But when you are not able to, have you ever been surprised or like, oh, I thought that was going to be so much worse? Or would you say, oh yeah, there it is. I knew it would be that bad because I got nothing in it.
Yeah, both. I've seen both happen. But ultimately, like, time is money in this industry, and you have to deliver. And so I will do it. And that's also why I think flexibility is so important on TV specifically, being able to adapt and get the shot, because you're shooting more pages on TV a day. Right. There was a day I shot 17 pages.
Wow.
It's insane.
That's insane.
And you can't get through it saying, I feel uncomfortable in this moment on every single page.
Right.
You just can't.
Right.
And you have to be able to take those pivots. And I do, and I love doing it. But I have to also trust, again, there's so much trust involved between an actor and a director.
Yeah.
I have to trust that they know.
Yeah.
And so even with my friend Yoko, I'll be like, it doesn't feel good, but let's do it. She's like, okay, let's try it. Maybe like we fuck it all up and then...
Yeah.
And sometimes when you mess it all up, you actually find what it is. So we may take a take to mess it up to get that take.
That's interesting.
Because she may not be right, I may not be right, but in both of us trusting the other and doing it.
Instead of sitting there for 20 minutes arguing about it,
just
put one up
and
let it fail
Especially with the way that we're not on film anymore, right? It's all digital.
Right.
So it's just so quick. Just do another take. Do
That's
another
it.
2-minute take.
Right.
It takes 2 minutes as opposed to the 10 minutes that it's going to, well, I feel like this, and actors are precious and I get it.
Yeah.
I'm not that precious. I come from theater. I don't think you could be that precious in theater.
Is there any part of you that wants to get back on the stage?
Oh my God, yes.
And are you looking for something like that? I know that wouldn't pay the bills necessarily.
But what it does is it gives you that recharge that will pay the bills, that will give you...
The right bills, the true bills.
Yeah.
To pay.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, all the shows that I'm seeing while I'm here in New York, I have to sit on the mezzanine so I don't just walk up on stage. Is basically how I feel. I'm just kidding.
She's doing it again. Go, security.
I saw Smash last night and I was like, my God, I want to do a show. And there was a season, I grew up from 92 to 08 just doing musical theater. It was my life. My dream in life was to move to New York, live in a shitty flat with a gay man, and do theater.
Yeah.
I would have died happy. My life does not look like that. I'm still happy.
Yeah.
But I could go back to that dream. Maybe not a shitty flat. Maybe a nicer flat. Maybe not a gay man. Maybe a straight man. You know what I mean? Little shifts.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just did some backers presentations of a musical in LA. It's now at the Old Globe. It's called Regency Girls. And that music and getting to live back in that world for a night was wonderful. I just did, you guys have it out here too, the 24-hour plays.
Yes.
My gosh, if you get a chance to do that, do that.
That sounds very scary.
It is. It's wonderful. You should do it.
Wow.
I cannot suggest it enough to people that don't have the time to commit to theater to do that. It's... A writer takes, 10 hours overnight to write an entire play. The actor in the morning shows up, gets the script, gets the cast, puts it on its feet by 7 p.m. with lighting, staging, costumes, everything. You have no choice but to...
You learn so much in that, don't you? Mm-hmm. Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Because you
also
don't
drink heavily after.
I was just going to say, you just sleep for 4 days. But there's when you don't have the time and you have to just choose and play it and then it's up on its feet without even choosing with just choosing and putting it out. I mean, that has to be such a big learning experience.
Yeah, but you have no choice but to be present.
I'd rather be in it than watching it.
You know what?
Because it could be really bad, right? I mean, these things, right? Let's be real.
No. My face was making all the faces that they can't see, and you just got a squeaky no. But just know my face was facing. I didn't think about sitting and watching it because I've only done it. I've done it twice now.
Yeah.
And I feel like I might be pained watching it knowing what the actors just went through the last 12 hours.
Right.
Because not only when you do a play, you've had the day to kind of do yoga and go in the steam room and take a nap. We did 12 hours of rehearsals and now we're doing 2 shows.
It's crazy.
The adrenaline is...
Yeah, adrenaline.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I think I would prefer being on stage than in the audience, just purely on feeling the anxiety.
Is there hope for actors kind of plotting their own course like this? To me, you're a very successful actor. You've been doing this for a long time. Is there any hope for actors actually making things happen that they want to be in?
Yes, but it's not easy. And I think there are actors that get very discouraged by the amount of work that it's going to take. And they end up falling off. And it does a disservice to the people that would have been able to be served by their work. And so I would say to actors coming up that are not as jaded and more optimistic, it's going to be hard, but it's going to be worth it. I think today's actor has no choice but to pave their own way. And honestly, with social media and technology the way it is, there are more avenues for you to be able to do that. Don't underestimate theater, though. As an actor, do not underestimate theater. You may want to be on TV, but what could get you there is theater. The training, the experience, the, what is the word that I'm looking for?
The highlighting of the actor. Seeing just somebody in the audience being able to see them in all their glory. You know what I mean?
Yeah, the stakes are lower. You can make bigger mistakes and grow as an actor. Make mistakes. My God, if I could impart anything to anyone, fuck it up. Make the mistakes, because that's where you're going to learn the most. And you can come back from anything. One foot in front of the other, just keep on. I feel like that's what I've been doing. Find your support group, not in a therapy sense, but probably as well. Find the people that allow you to shine and lift you up when you've fallen down, because you're going to fall down more than you're going to be climbing up. I have been so lucky to have the support system that I have. And every job that I do, I take someone with me. And I have a bigger network now. And they call it networking. It's not. This is where you work. They're your coworkers and they become your friends. No different than if you're in an office.
Yeah.
You know? And I have my representatives that just, you know, they know exactly when I need to be lifted up and when I need to be like grounded. They balance me so well. They believe in me, which blows my mind. I don't even know if I believe in me. And it's why I've worked as long as I have, because of the support system that I have. And don't think about the failing. Don't think about it failing. You have no choice. Just do it. And if it's a failure to someone else, who cares? It's your step to what you want.
Jolene Purdy, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Back to One is a production of Filmmaker Magazine, which is a publication of The Gotham. Listen to back episodes of this podcast at filmmakermagazine.com or wherever you get your podcasts.